You've probably spent your entire life believing that your sensitivity is a liability, a flaw in your design, that the fact you feel everything so deeply, so intensely, the subtle shift in a room's energy, the unspoken sadness in a friend's voice, the overwhelming chaos of a crowded street is a bug in your system. You've been told you're too much, and you've started to believe it. I'm here to tell you today that it is not a bug. It is a high-end feature. Your nervous system isn't flawed. It's a high-fidelity instrument, calibrated to perceive the world with a richness and depth that most people will never experience. Your sensitivity isn't your weakness. It's a dormant superpower, waiting for you to claim it. The great psychologist Carl Jung gave us this profound insight. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. For a person with a highly sensitive nature, that unconscious he speaks of is the immense, untapped power of your finely tuned nervous system. As long as it remains an unconscious force, it directs your life through what feels like a relentless series of challenges. The sudden waves of anxiety, the bone-deep exhaustion after social events, the constant feeling of being overwhelmed by life itself. You call it your fate to be sensitive, as if it were a life sentence. But Jung's promise is that when you bring this force into the light of your awareness, when you learn to understand its language and respect its power, it ceases to be fate. It becomes your strength. It becomes your guide. In a loud, fast-paced world that praises being thick-skinned, those of us born with this high-fidelity instrument often feel fundamentally out of place. You are the one who feels drained after just an hour at a party that everyone else is enjoying. You get overwhelmed in a noisy supermarket, bombarded by the lights, the sounds, the sheer volume of data. You notice the subtle shift in a friend's tone of voice that no one else catches. And you can't just let it go. And for this, you've been told you're too sensitive, you're overthinking it, or you're too emotional. So, to survive, you learn to build armor. You learn to wear a mask. The mask of the easygoing friend, the stoic professional, the quiet observer. You learn to hide your instrument away, hoping no one would notice how different you felt. How different you felt. But what if you had a map? Not a map to a different personality, but a map to the vast, rich territory of your own inner world. Carl Jung gave us such a map. He provided a way to journey inward, not to fix our sensitivity, but to finally understand and master it. In this video, we're not just going to list the traits of a highly sensitive person. We are going on a 4-layer deep dive, a guided tour of the sensitive soul using Jung's framework. We will peel back the layers of your experience, from the armor you show the world to the core wound that forged it. And in doing so, we're going to turn the burden into a gift, the curse into your greatest advantage. This is not a top 5 tips listicle. This is a deep exploration, a journey of self-reclamation. Stay with me until the end, and I promise you won't just see the world differently. You will see your entire self by the time we're done, you will finally have the user's manual for your own secret superpower. Let's begin to protect our high-fidelity instrument from a world that feels like it's always at max volume. We construct what Jung called the persona, the social mask we present to the world. These are the conscious suits of armor we wear to fit in, and most importantly, to avoid getting hurt. The first suit of armor is the perfectionist. People with this sensitive nature often adopt perfectionism to control their environment and preempt criticism, which feels uniquely painful to them. Your nervous system is designed to notice tiny details and discrepancies. Perfectionism is an attempt to make the chaotic outer world match the order and harmony you crave internally. Controlling every variable is a way to manage the anxiety of potential overstimulation. Think about preparing a presentation for work. A non-sensitive person might focus only on the content. You, however, find yourself adjusting the font kerning, ensuring the color hex codes are perfect, and worrying about the lighting in the conference room. It's not obsession. It's an attempt to build a fortress of calm to protect your focus. For a person who feels things the second suit of armor is the chameleon, also known as the people pleaser. Many who have this trait learn to blend in, agreeing with others and suppressing their own needs to avoid conflict and unwanted attention. Your instrument feels the emotional energy of an argument like a physical force. It's a psychic storm. So you become a chameleon, changing your colors to match your surroundings. You become a fantastic listener, but you rarely share what you truly think or want. Imagine you're in a group of friends deciding where to eat. A debate starts between Italian and Thai. You're craving Thai, but you feel the tension rising. You immediately say, "I'm good with whatever you guys choose." You've just sacrificed your own desire for the sake of group harmony and for the sake of your own nervous system. Your silence doesn't mean you have no opinion. It is a conscious act of energy preservation. The third suit of armor is the stoic intellectual. Some sensitive souls build a fortress of logic and rationality to contain the vast ocean of emotion they feel inside. When your feelings are too intense to handle, the mind builds a dam. You use logic, data, and analysis to keep a safe distance from your own emotions and the emotions of others. You might appear aloof or detached, but it's because you are feeling everything. For example, a friend comes to you, heartbroken. Instead of crying with them, you immediately start analyzing the problem. Okay, let's break this down. What were the root causes? What are the 3 most logical next steps? This isn't coldness. It's the only way you know how to process the tidal wave of their pain without drowning in it yourself. The stoic exterior of a highly sensitive person is often just a thin layer of ice over a deep, warm ocean. These suits of armor serve a purpose. They help us survive, but they are heavy, and they are exhausting to wear. The more important question is, why did we feel the need to build them in the first place? To answer that, we have to go a layer deeper, into the realm of the unconscious, the shadow, and the fears that live there. Jung called the shadow all the parts of ourselves that we repress or deny. For the sensitive soul, the shadow is dominated by one primal fear, the fear of overwhelm. The first core fear is the fear of emotional drowning. People who are highly sensitive are often afraid of the sheer depth of their own emotions and their capacity to absorb the emotions of others. Your high-fidelity instrument doesn't just receive external data, it amplifies your internal emotional state. Your empathy is so powerful that another person's sadness can literally become your sadness. The fear is real. Without strong boundaries, you risk drowning in a sea of feeling. This is why the stoic intellectual armor gets built. You watch a sad movie. Others might shed a tear and move on. You might feel the character's grief for days. You avoid the nightly news, not because you don't care, but because you care too much. This fear isn't a sign of weakness. It's an acknowledgement of the immense power of your own emotional capacity. The second fear is the fear of being too much. Those who feel things deeply live with a deep-seated fear of being judged as too sensitive, too intense, too weak, or too complicated. From a young age, you noticed you were different. Your reactions didn't match those of your peers. When you cried at a seemingly small comment, you were told to toughen up. This fear of judgment is why you wear the chameleon and perfectionist armor, so no one can find a flaw to criticize. You're in a meeting and have a brilliant, nuanced idea, but you hesitate to share it because you've already thought it through on 10 different levels and anticipated 5 potential pitfalls. You're afraid that if you share its complexity, others will just see you as overthinking it. The fear of being judged is actually the fear that your gift, your depth of processing, will be misunderstood. The third fear is the fear of making the wrong choice. Because a person with this nature perceives so many nuances, possibilities, and potential outcomes for every decision, they are often paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake. Your instrument doesn't just see options A and B. It sees A.1, A.2, B, B.1, and it simulates the emotional fallout of every single path. This is analysis paralysis. It isn't indecisiveness. It's a state of being flooded with too much data. Even choosing a restaurant for dinner can be stressful. You're thinking about the lighting, the noise level, the potential for awkward conversations, how the food might affect everyone's mood. Your hesitation isn't a flaw. It's a byproduct of a mind with an extraordinary ability to simulate the future. So we've seen the armor. and we understand the fears that hide beneath it. But where did these fears come from? Why did our high-fidelity instrument learn to be afraid of its own power? To find that answer, we must take the deepest dive of all, back to the origin point, the core wound. Every fear in the shadow has a root, and that root is almost always planted in the soil of our earliest experiences. For a person born with high sensitivity, there is a common defining wound, a message repeated over and over that shaped who they are. The deepest wound for someone with this nature is rarely a single traumatic event. It is the slow, steady drip of 1,000 tiny moments where their sensitive way of being was dismissed, denied, or treated as an error. You were born with a premium operating system, but the world tried to run basic software on it. When you responded authentically, you received messages like, "Stop being so sensitive." The underlying message, "Your feelings are wrong. You're just overthinking it." The underlying message, "Your thoughts are wrong. Toughen up, it's not a big deal." The underlying message, "Your perception of reality is wrong." Picture a sensitive child coming home from school, crying because a friend made a slightly mean joke. The well-meaning parent says, "Oh, honey, don't worry about it. They were just kidding. You need to learn to let things roll off your back." The child doesn't just learn that crying is bad. They learn something far more damaging. My internal guidance system is faulty. The way I perceive the world is unreliable. There is something fundamentally wrong with me. This is the core wound. This wound teaches the high-fidelity instrument a tragic lesson. To be loved and accepted, you must operate at a lower frequency. You must hide what you truly see and feel. From this single wound, everything else grows. You build the armor to hide this flawed self. You develop the fears that if anyone saw your true internal wiring, they would reject you. You live in a state of constant, low-grade civil war between who we have traveled a long way down. From the surface behaviors, through the unconscious fears, to the source code of the wound itself. You might be feeling a little heavy right now, but this is the most important moment of our journey. Because as Jung taught, in the shadow we find gold, and in the wound we find the superpower. Now, let's bring it into the light. For this entire video, we've been analyzing the highly sensitive person as if they were a subject under a microscope. But now, it's time to turn the mirror around. All of this, it was never about understanding them. It was about you understanding you. And here is the final, activating truth. Everything you were taught was a wound, a burden, or a flaw is actually one side of a brilliant gift. Your capacity to feel deeply isn't meant to drown you. It's a moral compass. It allows you to connect with others on a level that most people can only dream of. You are the healers, the counselors, and the true friends this world desperately needs. This is the superpower of deep empathy. Your ability to see 10 shades of gray, while others only see black and white, isn't a bug, it's wisdom. It's the ability to connect disparate ideas and see patterns no one else can. And that constant processing of data wasn't for nothing. It has trained your subconscious mind into a world-class pattern recognition machine. We have a word for that: intuition. Your gut feeling about a person or a situation is often more accurate than a spreadsheet of data. Learn to trust it. This is the superpower of heightened intuition. Our journey today is ending, but yours is just beginning. I want you to look in that internal mirror and answer honestly in the comments below. Which of your superpowers have you been hiding the longest? And what is one small step you will take this week to begin to honor it? Read each other's answers. You will see that you are not alone. If this deep dive resonated with you, subscribe and join our community. This isn't just a channel. It's a gathering place for deep souls to explore the maps of ourselves together. Thank you for taking it. Needs you to be fully, powerfully you.